Okay, get ready because today we are taking a deep dive into Afghanistan 2 years after the Taliban took over.
Oh, this is going to be a heavy one.
It is, but it's so important and we've got incredible sources lined up.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear these stories from Afghans themselves, reports from journalists, and analysis from experts.
It's going to be a real journey for us and for our listeners.
Definitely going way beyond the headlines.
Exactly, and getting to the heart of what life is actually like for women there.
Right, like what has really changed in these 2 years, and what does their daily life even look like now?
Yeah, like what do they do all day, every day?
And to understand all that, we kind of have to rewind back to August 2021, back to that Taliban takeover.
Oh yeah, those images from the Euronews video are just seared in my memory.
Totally. The chaos at Kabul airport, those Taliban fighters everywhere, some of them posing for the cameras, it's wild.
It's surreal, isn't it? And you could just feel the fear in the city, like everyone's holding their breath.
And there's this one moment in that video, this interview with a Taliban commander.
Oh, tell me about that.
Yeah, so the Euronews correspondent is asking him questions about peace and security and all that, and he's giving these answers, but he won't even look at her.
Oh, wow.
It's like this really subtle but powerful thing, makes you think what's really going on beneath the surface.
It's like a glimpse into the contradictions to come, right? Like a warning sign.
Yeah, exactly. And fast forward 2 years, and the reality for women in Afghanistan is just grim. I mean, the economic hardship alone is devastating.
I was reading that BBC report. Something like 84% of Afghans are having to borrow money just to buy food.
It's hard to even wrap your head around that, the pressure that puts on families.
Yeah, it's unimaginable. And then you see stories like 13-year-old Issa and his brother. They're working instead of going to school.
Oh, yeah, and the DW report, right?
Yeah, this kid should be getting an education, living their childhoods, but they're stuck trying to help their family survive.
It's heartbreaking, but it really highlights how this economic crisis is suffocating the country.
Absolutely. And then on top of all that, you have the Taliban specifically targeting women's rights.
Yeah, and that ban on girls going to secondary school, I mean, that's got to be the most glaring example.
It's just devastating. Like meeting Hadja in that BBC report, she's 12 and dreams of being a doctor, but with the schools closed, her future is so uncertain.
And that France 24 report captured it so well, showing boys walking to school and girls stuck at home.
Such a stark contrast.
It really is like a visual representation of a whole generation being robbed of their potential.
And one of the students in that Al Jazeera video says it perfectly. If we stop people from going to school, especially women and girls, it's going to create so many other problems for us.
Yeah, sadly, that prediction seems to be playing out. But this isn't just about education, right?
No, it's way bigger than that.
It's about this systematic erosion of women's rights in every single aspect of life. And the UN is even using the term gender apartheid to describe it.
Gender apartheid, that's a heavy term. What does that actually mean in this context?
So basically, it's the creation of a system where women are deliberately excluded from public life.
Oh, wow.
And you hear that reflected in the voices of Afghan women themselves, like in those I-24 News interviews.
Oh, those are powerful.
One woman says, women do not exist in the Taliban of Afghanistan, and another just says, I feel like a prisoner.
It's heartbreaking, like they're trying to completely erase women from society.
And it's not just talk. The Taliban are backing it up with action, like replacing the Ministry of Women's Affairs with the Ministry for the Propagation of Virtue and Prevention of Vice. I mean, come on.
That says it all, doesn't it?
It really does. But, in all this despair, there are also these amazing stories of resistance and resilience.
Oh, those stories are so important.
Yeah, like those women who are fighting back against the Taliban, even though it puts them at huge risk.
It's incredibly brave.
The story of the last torch from the BBC World Service report really blew me away.
Tell me more about them.
So it's these two sisters who formed an underground music protest group.
Wow, under the Taliban's noses.
Yeah, they're defying that music ban by using their voices to speak out.
It's so powerful. Music as resistance.
Totally, and they're not alone. You see women in the Euronews report taking to the streets, demanding their rights.
Risking their lives, essentially.
Exactly. It's incredible, these acts of defiance, like little whispers of hope in all the darkness.
Like they're saying, we're still here, we're not giving up.
Right. And it's important to remember that even within this oppressive regime, experiences can vary.
Oh, definitely. It's not a monolith.
Exactly. Like take Dr. Roshanak in the DW documentary. She's a gynecologist who works in a rural area. She supports the Taliban but wishes they would change their stance on girls' education.
So it's complicated, right? There's nuance even within the Taliban themselves and within Afghan society as a whole.
Absolutely. So we need to understand what the Taliban is saying, even if we don't agree with it, We got to hear their perspective.
It's about getting the full picture.
Right, and we get glimpses of that worldview throughout these reports. Like, remember that Euronews interview with the Taliban commander? He's all about peace and security, but clammed up when asked about women's rights.
Classic deflection.
Yeah, and then in the DW News video, the Taliban spokesperson claims they've brought peace and are just enforcing Islamic rule. They're also blaming the humanitarian crisis on those international sanctions.
Trying to shift the blame, huh?
Exactly, and Al Jazeera picks up on that narrative too, presenting the Taliban as victims of the international community instead of acknowledging their own role in creating this crisis.
It's a carefully constructed narrative, that's for sure.
It is, but we can't just take their word for it, right? We have to compare their claims to what we're seeing and hearing from other sources.
We need that critical lens.
Absolutely. We got to understand the historical context, the complexities, the different perspectives at play.
It's about digging deeper, looking beyond the surface.
Exactly. And, if we look at that DW documentary on Afghanistan, it reveals that even before the Taliban returned, the country was already grappling with corruption and human rights abuses within the Afghan police force.
Oh, so it's not as simple as saying the Taliban are the root of all evil.
Not at all. There were serious issues long before they took control.
It adds another layer of complexity to everything.
It really does. Afghanistan has been plagued by violence and instability for decades. The Taliban is just the latest chapter in this long and tragic story.
And within that chapter, there are individual stories like the one about the village of Islif in the DW report. It was this bustling tourist hub, and now it's deserted because of the Taliban's restrictions.
It's a stark reminder of the cost of this regime.
It really is, a cost that the Afghan people are bearing every single day.
Yeah, it's like we can't forget about all the challenges Afghanistan has faced even before this, all that corruption and abuse. It's a lot to unpack.
It really is, and the DW documentary, it doesn't shy away from that, does it? It dives right into the dark underbelly of the Afghan police force before the Taliban even came back.
Yeah, those allegations of torture, killings, even exploiting children, it's really disturbing.
It paints a very unsettling picture for sure.
It does, and it underscores just how complex this whole struggle for peace and stability in Afghanistan has always been.
Totally. It's not a simple good versus evil situation, right? There are so many layers, competing narratives, and a long history of trauma.
Exactly. It's not black and white at all. There are so many shades of gray.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important to hear different perspectives, to try to make sense of it all without oversimplifying.
You got it. And speaking of different perspectives, we've got to talk about those narratives the Taliban are pushing, like the whole "we brought peace" thing.
Yeah, they love that line, don't they? But is it true?
Well, they did stop the major fighting, that's a fact, but at what cost? Their version of Islamic rule is clearly causing immense harm, especially to women. And yes, sanctions are playing a role in the economic crisis, but let's be real, the Taliban's own actions are making things way worse.
Right, like their restrictions on women working and going to school, that's having a ripple effect on the whole economy.
Exactly. It's almost like they're sabotaging themselves.
And then there's their whole approach to dealing with the media. It's all about control, isn't it?
Oh, totally. Remember that Euronews interview? The Taliban commander insisted on pre-approved questions. The whole thing was staged.
So orchestrated.
And then when she tried to press him on women's rights, he dodged the question completely.
Textbook propaganda, just trying to control the narrative.
Yep, and it's a pattern you see over and over again, like in that DW News video where they're escorting journalists through a prison.
Oh yeah, like a guided tour.
But they're dictating who the journalists can talk to, what they can ask. The whole thing is so controlled.
It's all about creating this illusion of transparency while actually hiding the truth.
Exactly. Same thing in the Al Jazeera report. Taliban officials are bragging about boosting trade and exploiting natural resources, but they completely ignore the human rights abuses and the struggles of everyday Afghans.
It's like they're trying to distract us with shiny objects.
Right. Like, look over here, don't pay attention to what's really happening.
It makes you wonder, are they even interested in responsible governments, or is it all just about power?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And based on their actions, it's hard to see it any other way.
Actions speak louder than words, as they say.
Exactly. And those actions are having a devastating impact on millions of people. The stories we've heard from people like Issa, Hadja, and those women interviewed by I-24 and EWS, those aren't just isolated incidents.
Right, there's a pattern here.
It points to a much bigger systemic problem.
A problem we can't ignore.
Absolutely. We have to hold the Taliban accountable, but we also need to remember that the situation in Afghanistan is way more nuanced than it might seem at first glance.
It's easier to fall into those oversimplifications, right? To see it as just good guys versus bad guys.
Right, but it's not that simple. There are divisions within the Taliban themselves, different interpretations of their ideology, and the Afghan population is diverse, with a wide range of opinions and experiences.
It's not a monolith, it's a complex society.
Exactly. Like, think about Dr. Roshanak, the gynecologist. She supports the Taliban, but criticizes their stance on girls' education.
It shows that even within a group that seems so unified, there can be dissenting voices.
Exactly. We can't make sweeping judgments. We have to recognize the complexity.
It's about engaging with diverse voices, understanding the nuances, and avoiding those easy explanations.
You got it. It's the only way to truly grapple with this situation.
So where do we go from here? What's next for Afghanistan? What will happen to the people, especially the women?
Those are the big questions, and there are no easy answers. Things are constantly changing and evolving.
It's a volatile situation for sure.
But one thing is clear, the Afghan people deserve peace and stability. They deserve the chance to build a better future.
And that future has to include women, right? Their voices, their experiences, their dreams, they need to be at the table.
They're absolutely essential to unlocking Afghanistan's true potential.
And their resilience, their determination in the face of all this, it's so inspiring.
It's incredible. It shows that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can endure.
It gives me hope.
It really is amazing to see their strength, in the face of so much oppression. It's like they're giving us a glimpse of what the future could be.
Yeah, it's so easy to get bogged down in the despair of it all, but the Afghan people, and especially the women, they refuse to be silenced.
Absolutely. It's that unyielding spirit that really shines through in these reports, like those women protesting for education while the Taliban are firing guns into the air.
It's hard to even imagine.
Imagine the courage it takes to risk your life for a better future.
It just shows how much they believe in a future where their daughters can learn, can work, can live freely.
It's powerful, makes you realize that freedom, it's not a guarantee, it's something you have to fight for constantly.
I think a lot of people listening are probably thinking, okay, so what can I actually do? This crisis feels so overwhelming.
I get it. It can feel paralyzing, but even small actions can make a difference.
Like what? What can we do?
Well, there are organizations doing incredible work on the ground, providing humanitarian aid in Afghanistan. We can donate to those.
Right, and there are groups specifically focused on supporting women's education, healthcare, economic opportunities.
Every little bit helps.
It really does, and we can raise awareness too, right?
Yeah.
Talk about this issue with our friends and family, share these stories, put pressure on our government.
Exactly. We can't let Afghanistan fade from the headlines. Silence is not an option here.
We have to use our voices to amplify theirs.
And let's not forget about the power of art and music. The story of The Last Torch is a great example.
Oh yeah, those two sisters, defying the music ban, their courage is so inspiring.
It's about creative expression as a form of resistance, and that music, it transcends borders. It connects with people all over the world.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's still hope.
There really is. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Afghanistan, it's clear that this is a complex issue with no easy answers, but we can't turn away.
We absolutely cannot. We owe it to the women of Afghanistan to stay informed, to speak out against injustice, and to support their fight for a better future.
Their fight is our fight, and their story, it reminds us that the pursuit of freedom and equality, it's a journey that requires our constant attention, our unwavering commitment, and most importantly, our hope.